I believe women. I believe women lie just as much as men do. All right. So with that basic premise of knowledge that I have, I believe people when they come forward with a credible story and some fucking evidence. Hello everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. And let's see, I want to weigh in on this Kavanaugh bullshit. Okay, so we've had the FBI supplementary investigation done. Surprise, surprise, they haven't found anything new. Then the Democrats came back and stated that it wasn't comprehensive enough and they didn't interview enough witnesses, yada, yada, yada. Okay, it's become apparent that just we can't please those guys. I mean, because they're not really looking for truth. They're looking to stall the nomination, plain and simple. So I've had a few, I've had quite a few conversations on Facebook because, I like to start shit. But in this instance, when I would respond to a lot of these women out there who are posting all this negative shit about the Kavanaugh hearing, about us sanctioning a rapist, entitled white men, just shit like that. And I just gotta, and I respond with, look, I understand you're upset. I understand you don't want this particular judge on the bench because he's conservative. All right, I got it. But please stop hiding behind the excuse that he is some type of sexual, predator, to keep him off the bench, because that's just ridiculous. Let's see, Mrs. Ford's testimony was ripped apart. She couldn't remember when, where. Now when I say when, I'm not talking like on a weekday or a weekend or what month it was. She doesn't even know the fucking year. If you go through some of the older stories, she said it was like the mid-'80s, and she came back and said it was the early '80s. So, I mean, with that kind of hole in your story, the person you're accusing of this, how does he defend himself? Thank God, the judge came forward with a calendar from the summer of '82 that showed he wasn't even in the area for almost the entire summer, but he was in town like 2 or 3 weeks, and they're like, oh, it must have been in one of those weeks. I mean, come on now, Jesus Christ. And then, have one of her ex-boyfriends just came forward and said, hey, she has coached people for lie detector tests, which basically countermands her testimony, which is a perjury at that level, which is a felony. But nobody's really talking about that. And yeah, I get the fact that Kavanaugh, was a little. He was pissed off, and you could see it. And when he testified in front of the Senate, he came across as an asshole. But looking at it from a normal person's perspective, say you're Joe Blow, normal dude. You worked your way up the ranks. You didn't have any issues with your integrity or any personal issues the entire time. Not one hint of wrongdoing. And then you're up for, basically to become a CEO of the company you've spent your life at. And then somebody comes forward and says, that person, they did some horrible shit to me. I don't know when it happened or where it happened, but it happened. I definitely know it was him. And then that promotion that you worked your entire life for could evaporate because of this. And you don't have the right to be angry about that? Are you out of your fucking mind? Furthermore, all of these news outlets that went with some of these stories of the unfounded accusations. Everyone involved in these accusations needs to be dragged into court civilly and sued into the motherfucking Stone Age. Because this needs to fucking stop. All right? This whole believe woman thing, listen, I believe women. I believe women lie just as much as men do. All right? So with that basic premise of knowledge that I have, I believe people when they come forward with a credible story and some fucking evidence. One or two other people that can say it happened, you know, that works in a court of law or what have you. I mean, god damn it. This is fucking insane. Okay, the way I'm looking at it now, it's Friday afternoon. By the time this comes out, it'll be Sunday. But the way I look at it, Kavanaugh has about an 85% chance of getting picked up for the Supreme Court and a 15% chance of not. Either way this shakes out, it's going to be a shitstorm. It's just going to further divide this country, and I mean, goddamn, when you are able to divide people this much, and then you deny, you know, half of the division the ability to talk or contest your point of view or even bring forward evidence stating you're wrong. You know, there's only two ways that we as hairless monkeys solve problems. We talk about them and make compromises, or we fight. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you shut down that first option? Sooner or later, you're going to wind up with some people slinging lead on a two-way rifle range. You know, do I want that to happen? No. I kind of like what I got going on now. I don't like being fucked with. I like to talk some mad trash, tell some jokes, you know, and, you know, have pizza and drink some booze and continue on until I die after 65 sometime. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I and the thousands of men just like me who I forged and trained over the past 3 decades are an absolute motherfucking nightmare if you have to face them on the two-way rifle range. Because we know how to think on our feet. We know how to use all of the various weapon sets that the modern age can provide. And we know the tactics on how to use said weapons and how to defend against such said weapons, all the way up from guns, knives, dynamite and fire, to tanks, artillery, aircraft, bombs, and the whole deal. And I don't want that to happen, but I'm a realist and probably gonna go down. Just saying. All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of the gloom and doom. Let's go on to some National Guard stories. All right. Company F425, Lair Airborne Infantry, Michigan National Guard. I remember we got it was like December, we had the December drill, and all of a sudden, you know, we got the news that, hey, we're going to be able to go to Puerto Rico in February. I'm like, woo! It was like I think it was like a 4-day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday drill. Actually, it might have been 5, I don't remember. But we were going to, you know, fly out to Puerto Rico, jump in, do a mission, and then get recalled, and then be able to spend a day in Puerto Rico hanging out and then come back, which sounded great. So, you know, we pack all our bags, you know, we make the op order for the mission, we get our copies of the maps, which of course were old. And I don't remember the training area in Puerto Rico. What I do remember was the name of the drop zone, because I jumped it several times while I was in the Ranger Battalion, and the drop zone was known as Hazard. And there's a reason for that, because in this drop zone, it's not like any drop zone that you would come across in the United States. There were house foundations in this thing. There were abandoned cars. cars, rubble piles, and to the side there was a fucking junkyard. Now, I distinctly remember this as when I jumped it the other 2 times. I was lucky. I had knee pads on for the first drop, landed on a pile of rubble, got some bruises and scrapes, but I was good to go. Plus, I was young and indestructible. Second time I jumped in there, I landed on the edge of a water obstacle. The mud was up just around to my knees. It took me a while to get out, but I was fine. Okay, so it's February, so we show up at the armory. We do our final inspections, load up the trucks, and move out to the airfield, and we rig up right by the plane. Get JMPI'd, which is basically when the jump master, does an inspection and makes sure you didn't put your stuff on like a knucklehead that'll get you killed. We rig up, go in the plane, and basically fly from Michigan to fucking Puerto Rico, which was a long fucking flight. We, had take a couple pisses, you take your rucksack off, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they weren't as strict as they were when I flew from, to Panama, during the Panama invasion, where they basically said, hey, fuck you, piss yourself. But, they let us up to take a piss, and then they put the shit back on us and did a quick JMPI to make sure we weren't fucked up. Okay, now we're pounding water the entire time because it's Michigan in February. It's like 28 fucking degrees during the day, a little colder at night. Puerto Rico that time of year, I think it was somewhere 80, 90 degrees during the day, and high 60s, low 70s at night. It's humid as fuck. So we get there, we get our jump commands, got the 20-minute warning, the 10-minute warning. We stand up somewhere around 5 minutes, 6 minutes, at the 2-minute warning, the doors come open, and then you get hit with the humid air, and it was like literally getting hit in the face with a wet washcloth. It was the difference. It was night and day, man. I remember the guy next to me when we were getting ready, to stand up. I'm putting on knee pads and elbow pads, and I had wrist guards on, and they're all like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I go, Did you read the name of this drop zone? It's hazard for a reason, motherfucker. So, and I always put myself in the middle of the stick because I hate being the first guy and I hate being the last guy. I just want to be one of those mindless drones in the middle that just walks out the fucking door. So we get the green light, boom, doom. I go out, and I was towards the end of the stick. And we were the first pass, so we got out a little late, and I had my chute open. It wasn't a bad exit. I wasn't all twisted up. I think we're at 1,500 feet, which is relatively high, but it is what it is. And it wasn't dark, but I would say it was in the evening. And my chute opens up, and I am right over the fucking junkyard. Okay, I'm like, holy fuck. And there's dogs in there. I'm like, oh my God. So I slip like a motherfucker. Boom. I'm literally just trying to get the fuck out from landing in the fucking junkyard. And I make it over the fence. I'm a good 400 or 500 feet away from the junkyard, and I'm coming towards the tree. And I was really low at this time. I had lowered my rucksack, and there's just no fucking way I'm gonna avoid hitting this tree. And I understand. So I basically, fold up. I ripped right through the tree, and it was one of those ones that has those long fucking thorns in it, because I had these thorns stuck in my leg and in my upper ass, and just above where my elbow pads were on my arm. And I land, and I get up, and I'm ripping out these fucking thorns out of my fucking leg. And I'm wearing all the snivel gear because when I left Michigan, it was fucking cold as fuck, and we're on the tarmac for a while. And it's 80 degrees, 90% humidity. I'm like, God damn it. I look around, there isn't anybody. Right? I get my chute, I put it in the bag, take off my BDO top, boom, strip down to my underwear. And as I'm putting my shit back, and I look up, and I now have probably about 11 people that just came out of nowhere watching me fucking get dressed. I'm like, ah, damn. What are you going to do? So I'm like, finish what I'm doing, put on my fucking parachute, you know, and deed him out to the pickup point. I get there, and we had, I think we had 4 casualties. They weren't dead, and they weren't even hurt that bad, but they were hurt enough where we couldn't continue on with the mission. I get my team together, I had all my guys, and we take off on our azimuth. Now, for those of you out there who have never done this, go from being acclimatized to 10 to 20, 30 degrees on a regular basis, and then several hours later jump into, you know, high 80s, low 90s, 90% humidity. That is an incredible shock to your system. And like literally, we would walk like 100 or 200 meters, drink our water, sit down and rest, and then get up and walk another 300-400 meters, sit down, drink our water. And we ran out of water like ASAP. And, you know, we pull out the map, we're looking for some water sources. You know, the map, when you look at it, looks great. You're in Puerto Rico, there's water everywhere. That's bullshit. We couldn't find nothing. So literally, we gave one guy all of our canteens and had him run back. It was about 2 miles to this one range control structure that had an operating tap on it and fill up all our stuff. Then he came back and we continued, we Charlie Mike the mission. And that one water spigot on that range control building was basically our only fucking source of water for the entire 3-day mission. And well, we had got, you know, a little fucked up on the second night. We were moving to another location, and because the maps, they're surveyed all fucked up, you know. I'm like, what the fuck? So literally, we find one of the range control towers, because this is on an actual, you know, military outpost in Puerto Rico. You know, they had a 312 phone. We open it up, ring the thing, it goes right to range control. I remember like, hey, you know, give me a grid where I'm at. I'm kind of lost. And the guy's like, what? I'm like, I'm calling you from range such and such. What is the grid to the tower? So the guy gives me the grid to the tower. We put it on the map. Problem solved. We Charlie Mike with the mission. Now, was that the preferred method? No. They would probably want me to do a resection, but fuck it. You know, you got to improvise. But that whole mission went down without pretty much of a hitch other than the individuals getting injured. But I learned a lot about myself on that particular one. That acclimatization is really fucking important if you want to be able to hit the ground running. Because if you don't do that, you are going to be a worthless piece of shit. And it doesn't matter if you're 22 or 42. Humans are humans. And that's just the way it fucking goes, gentlemen. Anyway, we're coming up right around 20 minutes, 19-ish, so that's me for the night. You guys take it easy.